but it seems like a lie. You say it feels good when you're online. You know it feels good when you know it's a lie. You say it tastes good when you live online. The feel great now, the night is falling. You say it tastes good when you live online. The feel great now, the night is falling. You say it tastes good when you live online. The feel great now, the night is falling. You say it tastes good when you live online. The feel great now, the night is falling, 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 falling,
Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio. You're live with Lavonne, and I have two guests this evening. We've got DB, a longtime co-host of the show. Welcome, buddy. Hello, are you there, Mr. TB? Okay, we're going to get him back on the line, but we're also here with Brother Abraham. Hello there, Abraham.
What's happening, world? Hope everybody's in a good spot, comfortable with everything.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a great way to start the show.
All right.
Brother Abe and I have been trying to gather, waiting for the perfect time to talk to you guys. As usual, we're going to have a nice, open, organic conversation.
Don't panic. It's organic.
It's so organic. Let me try to get Brother Dave or DB back on the line. You want to do some talking there, Brother Abe?
Yeah. Did you release the picture?
I did.
we have?
I did. It's out. Yeah, the meme's out in the
Oh, where
world.
is that? Tupac in a triangle, and he's saying something really cool.
Oh man, it's not letting me do both. So
Right.
I can have
You can come in.
my technology. But yeah, welcome to the show. We're gonna try and have a couple guests on if technology is complying. This is the norm for me.
Okay.
So at least we're here live in the flesh.
Well, Mercury's out of retrograde, so maybe that will give us a better.
Do you believe in that?
Do I believe in it? I feel it.
I
so-
feel it too, and I think there's a lot more than the way we decipher it is. There's so much more, Like this is what I have trouble with is we're all having a subjective experience.
Sure.
Of course, it's collective, but what we call astrology is all subjective. Even though it's a long practice skill, are we doing it properly? Are we deciphering it properly? I don't know.
I guess in my experience, I've had the gentle introductions by friends that are really into it, and then slowly but surely other people integrate different systems, whether it's astrology or based on planetary involvement with the push and pulls on life. And what I've seen is the more alignment I have in my life, the more things that I can take from that are useful and use as tools for betterment of my path, and not really being scared if I'm being told something that's shaping my subjective reality. I just ask, does this feel good? Is it in alignment? Is it helping me? I'm not going to get hung up on something that says you're going to lose all your money this year, you're going to get sick, and I'm just okay, time to be more aware about how I make choices, or anything that I'm going to run up against that are obstacles anyway, just puts sort of shows me to steer where my alignment is in my life. So, oh, do we have
And
DB?
DB's calling back in. Let's see if we can do this.
Okay, so it looks like we're shifting between calls over here. I don't think our system is going to let us
Yeah,
do
for some
this.
reason I can't take calls, unfortunately. I'm sorry, DB. Um, hmm. But regarding what you were saying about the astrology,
Hmm.
where do you get your information? Because I have spoken with an astrologer,
Hmm.
and he talks about conjunctions and things squaring and rising, and there's a lot of different aspects. Like if you're gonna have faith that the planets affect you, which I definitely think they do, and I wish we could understand it. And that's the thing is what you read in a paper or those little generic things, that's it, like the tip of an iceberg.
Sure,
There's
sure.
so many influences when you get into it.
Right.
Because I'm the type of investigator where I don't just scratch and sniff. Like, I ingest the whole piece of paper. I experience it. Like, I want to know everything about this thing.
You wait till it comes out the other side,
Yeah,
or
then I'm like, let's further
how
investigate.
does it feel? Well, just as far as like planetary um, influence, if you go down to the beach and see the high tide, low tides, and they shift so much, you see whole oceans are moved by a big thing in the sky called the moon.
Right,
So,
that thing.
having all these different influences shaping us, we're 80% water. Our brains function based on a lot of different aspects of having water, having electromagnetic fields that are carried or not through water. I think it's really like the gravitational pulls of this and that. It's definitely like it guides us through the ebb and flow of life. And if I think some people get so stuck with like, oh, should I do this or should I do that, and like should themselves all over the place or should
Hmm.
all over the place, um, that they get they can get paralyzed by information, whether it's positive or negative, and rather just like check in bits and pieces and consult somebody that's really into it and able to integrate it because uh, there's just so much to be an expert at in this world, and
That's true.
um, it's only we have a limited capacity to focus our attention on so many different things. So, if it comes in your life and it makes sense to you, then by all means use it. Personally, I've had a lot of beneficial experience by consulting someone who's um, very into the different aspects and using stuff like the gene keys, which is based on genetic codes that we all have. Our 64 chromosomes all
Hmm.
contain a shadow, a gift, and a state of being that's an evolved state. And then aligning that with human design that's sort of based on astrology and taps into um, neutrino quantum physics
Mm.
and has a lot of science base to it. And that's um, a lot of these tools you can actually tap into the scientific explanations of how they can work. And yeah, there is some subjectivity when it gets down to telling you that like this is a good year to have a cat, or this is a good year to like move, or
Mm.
um, it just I could see where like some people would question the validity of someone else's claim to say like, okay, I should make a big life decision based on like what someone else's interpretation of all these signs are. And there are people that are like just super tapped in, and it just depends like where your level of where you're at with it, because it can be a tool just like anything else, or it could be something that like holds you back. So it's just where are you approaching it from? Is it from like inquiry? Is it from like fear? Is it from indecision? Like all these things sort of come to you, I think, when you're ready for it too.
Yeah, just like everything in life,
Yeah.
right? It is what you make it. But I really like the idea of being influenced by the stars because I really believe I come from there, you know? I mean, think about nuclear fusion and fission, like that explains to us how all the particles became apparent in our universe, you know? We see it that and that happens inside of us too.
Right.
All the things we can observe externally happen internally.
Sure.
Isn't that amazing? So,
Yeah, I mean, some of the deepest philosophies on known to our consciousness point to that as very valid as, so within, so without.
mhm.
And
Or as bit above, so below,
yeah.
same type of concept.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and going back to the where you left me to get Dave on the phone. The whole meme that we have up, uh, if those that can't see it, it's Tupac sitting in lotus position, meditating in a triangle. Um, and do you have the wording with that?
I will find it. I just got, oh my gosh, technology.
You know what? I think
Here it is.
I thought it was really interesting because I have every time I see a triangle, and sort of like this idea of a pyramid, I always like imagine the triangle overlay going the opposite way, so like upside down triangle on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
It says, I want to grow, I want to be better. You grow, we all grow. We're made to grow. You either evolve or you disappear.
And that's an actual quote from one of his songs.
Yeah, Tupac.
Love you, Tupac.
And it's funny because like we have this idea of growth, um and as it is like just coming from the ground, or like this idea of a pyramid having a strong base, and having like a vision to grow into something. And you have like ideas in sociology of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you need to have your
Mm.
base needs met before you can get to like worrying about, or not even worrying about, before you can even like integrate stuff on like a your spiritual connection or your religious practice, whatever you want to call it, your direct experience. And I I look at that pyramid and I see Tupac in this pyramid, and I'm looking at like growth, and where does
Yes.
this growth come from? Does it come from being strongly rooted, or is there another thing that needs to happen? Like we always like want to build the foundation, but there has to be vision in order to like make that foundation matter. Yeah, so like the Maslow's hierarchy, it has you need your physiological needs met, and then your safety, and then you can like get your love on and your belonging, and then your self-esteem, and then your self-actualization. You have these sort of hierarchy of being able to like focus on other things. And then I realized looking at that, it's sort of a pyramid scheme. It
Mm.
gets you to like say, you know what, if you're, and this is talking about humans, I'm not speaking to all animals. Um, But if you're just like focused on these physiological needs, um, without the vision, the self-actualization, and like actually flipping this on itself, where you could have an overlay, you know, this triangle like represents a lot of male energy, and it like put the female triangle over, which is like the downward facing triangle. Um, Overlay that and say like, okay, when I meet my physiological needs, is it with this self-actualization? Meaning, am I doing it with like my highest alignment? So if we're at a place where we have like at least some kind of equilibrium, we can start to like focus on that as far as like really creating our physiological needs and and moving up the hierarchy of needs. Are we still on air?
We're good.
Okay.
Just trying to get DB back on the line with us.
Isn't there an ad feature if you go back to, we're giving a tutorial right now, like a self-exploration. If you add this, what happens if you type? No. Oh, maybe, huh?
Keep
We might have
going.
figured it out. So, yeah, anyway, before we get too carried away with like the nitty-gritty of it, I'm just sort of getting at the, bringing it full circle, how we talked about the as above, so below, just having that sort of centered vision when you're trying to realize your physiological needs, and not like saying like before anybody cares about anything else, you need to have your security met. And that's, in a lot of ways, that's true. If you're insecure, physically not having a roof over your head, or a warm place to sleep, it's hard to have that, enlightened perspective.
You're right, though.
Yeah.
In everyone travels their own path, and it's a very interesting time to be alive, because we see a lot of, well, I experience a lot of my peers going through this personal evolution, where it's what I call being a human being versus being a human doing.
Sure.
I feel like our culture has taught us to do, not to be. Like that image that we shared where Tupac is being, and for me, when you're being, you're remembering your experience, maybe the things that happened for you when you were subconsciously doing, because our world makes us do. Right now we have to do, it's part of our world. But when you do have moments to be, for me, that's reliving those moments of experience and deciding, what did it teach me? Do I like it? Do I not like it? Am I going to apply it? Am I not going to apply it? And I think that's how we get an upgrade. Ooh! Sorry, I get excited when people call. Let's see if this works. Oh, but that's your personal choice.
Sure.
You get to decide every moment, am I going to let this experience make me better or not?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think a lot of us have learned that, or we're aware of that. But as a person who has become aware of that, I don't feel necessarily righteous telling other people that they should do that.
Sure.
Like, and how do you say, hey, dude, I do this really awesome thing where I upgrade myself every day? Sound like a crazy lady, but it's true. I mean, and essentially, your cells are constantly upgrading themselves. They're cleaning, they're repairing, they're healing. Your body does that anyway.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's the purpose, or the desire of your being already. Physically. Why not mentally do it as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
I mean, yeah, and there's a lot of conditioning in like starts, the moment you come out and start learning norms that work for other people's dreams, your parents' dreams, and there's a lot of conditioning to like realize and reflect on in order to really evolve your existence. And you can keep coming against the same kind of patterns over and over again. And we started, I think, talking about like, does astrology, do I believe in astrology, or is Mercury in retrograde affecting me? And it's like, well, it is, if you notice it, and and that helps you put like a
Understanding.
marker in, like, okay, well, this is all happening. And like, you look at your friends that all like are in tune with it and are like having crazy times, or you can look out in the world and you start seeing like, wow, there is a lot of things
All right.
happening. Do we have them?
We're going to pause on that moment. My awesome producer recognizes my struggle. And I'm going to be paused. I'm going to pause for a second. My guest is here with me, and we're going to get DB on the phone with us remotely. Okay? So we'll be right back in just a second. Yeah.
I can't believe you can multitask like that.
Oh man, this is lady brain.
Yeah.
I'm having like 4 conversations right now. I'm talking to like 5 people, and all of you on the radio, and you,
Wow.
Brother Abe. But I definitely need. I put it out in the universe that I want to like someone to be live with me, because that way I can do all of these things and not pause. Because all those awkward moments in the past couple years when I pause, it's because I'm talking to too many people.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, I gotta hang up. Hold on. Be right back, guys. We're back. Hello, everybody. Thank you for, as usual, dealing with my technical errors. You must really love me. But at least I'm consistent with my inconsistencies. DB, are you there? Buddy. Hello. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Are you there? It says you're there. Am I doing this right, Brother Abe?
Are we good?
DB, buddy. Hello. Are you there? I don't hear you. Hello. Oh my gosh. Says you're there. Hello. All right. Well, when you're there, buddy, you can talk. But we're back on the radio, which is awesome.
Yes.
Brother Abe and Lavonne, and hopefully Mr. DB. We've got some important news to talk to you about regarding voting in California for the upcoming election. So hopefully we get to tell you about this really awesome website.
I know you're talking, but I can't hear you.
Oh my gosh! I can hear you. Can you hear me?
He's there. We all heard him.
I heard you. Okay. So.
Nope, still nothing. Oh well.
Oh, I hear you, buddy. How strange. This is my experience with technology.
Really?
Yeah, every
Not
time
very fluid.
every time I touch an electrical thing, it goes. I think it's me. I think it's me. You see that?
Yeah,
When I
very
touch the
powerful.
phone, it literally spazzes. You hold it.
Here, let's put it right here. It's
Right.
like neutral ground.
But we're electrical beings. It's very possible that I could be affecting that phone. Yeah, I mean, it's a thing.
Why not?
But okay, so we're still gonna try and have DB call in. So if it's possible, he's going to talk to us. I promise, it's gonna happen. But back to what we were discussing regarding our experience and choosing to evolve and all that.
Mhm.
People aren't thinking about that though, and you're right. There is a lot of programming taking place, and it happens from a very young age. And a lot of people are choosing not to participate in it though.
Yeah, I think.
Unschooling is a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of families homeschooling, especially because they're being forced to vaccinate their children.
Mm-hmm.
You have to move out of California or wherever else they impose that. So you have to move out of state or pretty much homeschool your child.
Or find a really cool doctor that will like sign the note.
Yeah, but it's a personal belief exemption, and a lot of them are getting ridiculed now. Like my son's doctor, he was with him since birth, and they were like, we can't accept this. And I was like, well, there's got to be a way around it. So I had to jump through a bunch of loopholes though, but I only got an exemption because I have an autoimmune disease, which makes my children more susceptible. But not everyone's parents have an autoimmune disease, which allows them that exemption, which expired last year or the beginning of this year. Was your
exemptions?
Was your last chance to get grandfathered in for the personal belief exemption.
Huh.
So it's important to research, like, it's more than mental suppression. It's physical too.
Yeah, just there's a lot of different ideas that definitely condition us to like do certain things in order to do other things. And this whole idea of like a lot of people like looking for the evolution, and I see a lot of people like planning for one day they're going to be able to, live in community and do these things, eat healthy, grow their own food. And it's like, meet their physiological needs first, like by having enough in the bank so you feel secure enough in order to live that higher ideal. And, with this Maslow's hierarchy, I'm saying like, if that's your higher ideal, start there. Mm-hmm. Like start with your higher ideal. Find people. There's so many people out there that are on the same page, are looking for the same kind of evolution, same kind of transformation, same kind of existence, and start telling and sharing visions and going to places that have already realized the physiological needs that have those higher ideals. And then you can, really, if that's what you want to do, it can apply to anywhere in life. But if you don't feel like you can have a vision before you have everything set up, you have your retirement fund taken care of, enough money and this and that, if you don't like have a vision of where you're going, like what's going to ultimately drive you? Like it's this instinct of survival, which in this society it's very clear. Like there's certain things you're going to have to do, and you have to should yourself all over the place in order to do it. And starting to, give yourself the allowance to start integrating those higher ideals while you're meeting your physiological needs. Like what is it that you really came here to do? Why are you here?
Right? You're not here to work and pay bills. You're not. Like I truly believe that, and that's pretty much been the core of my message since I've been doing this program, which is either 2 or 3 years. I don't know. I got caught in a time warp. It's one of those, and
the work and the pay bills sounds like it's like a side factor of like what you should be doing if you're in alignment. If you're in alignment, like your bills are going to be paid, and you're going to be
supported in what your cause.
Yeah, your labor is not going to be so much work because there'll be like much more joy, and it's not so much
rewarding.
Right. And there's not to say there's not some heavy lifting to do. I mean, if
Right.
you want certain things, there's definitely like,
You're talking about being aligned with your purpose.
yeah, sure.
And I feel like our society not only belittles people in their spirit, but it kind of sways them from being aligned with their purpose. And I feel like a lot of people get scared of being empowered because they always associate that feeling or that notion with being associated to a specific religion or a type of belief system, which I think is kind of scary to people.
Yeah.
And I don't preach any specific word or belief system
Sure.
other than you're amazing, and I know that you're here to do spectacular things, not just kind of helplessly wander around feeling kind of spiteful for existing. I feel like so many people are like, why am I here? And the most powerful thing that I ever realized is that whatever ignites you, whatever you're aware of, whatever makes you feel alive in a sense, that's your thing. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're talking about.
Sure.
Brother Abe, you're talking about your existence being meaningful and joyful. And of course it's trying at times and it is physical and it is hard, but you do it because you're compelled.
Sure.
You know, like there's a power in the universe, like the same one you're talking about that gives us negative experiences, gives us beautiful, loving, joyous, marvelous ones.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think it's really nice to look at this idea of like if we're victimizing ourselves, if we're looking at our lens and like, you know, through our lens we're like, how am I a victim in all these situations? Then it like really is disempowering, and you can when you even notice that you're doing that, you have a whole level of freedom that's coming to you. When you can be like, wow, I'm actually like making myself a victim here, than saying like, well, how much better can this get? How much better can this situation get? Like, you know, when something good comes to you, like how much better can it get from here? Like, and let your, you know, let everything answer that question, you know, and you know, like we sort of wrapping it back to like some of these tools, like a lot of us have been put into public school systems, and it's domestication. There's a process of domestication that goes on so people can like have order and the teachers can teach you certain things. And then there's a certain amount of programming that goes along with it and conditioning that comes from all of our teachers in our life and the structures that we're all operating in. And there's not like, you don't have like, oh, let's look at astrology, you know, like you don't have these esoteric tools coming through a traditional or conventional education system. So it's like there's a lot of wariness towards these more esoteric tools, these ones that like help you pinpoint different aspects and different tools that, you know, you can find yourself in the universe, like, and see where, you know, you are in relationship to all these other things. And I don't know if I had a skepticism going into it. I just never was exposed to it. You know, my parents were hippies at one point. So they tell me, but you know, the very American middle class upbringing, and none of these tools were brought up. You know, like I didn't know like what sign I was. But the only thing is like when we went to the Chinese restaurants, like, you know, I knew what year I was born in and what animal that correlated with. And, you know, and then you look at the cultures that use these things, and, you know, some of them have been around for 5,000 years. And there's reasons why they use that, because like there is a certain amount of alignment that you can find from it. And, you know, it's not to say you don't have the ability to create whatever reality want, but just
Mhm.
bringing in some of these tools as guideposts and like and informing more things about your existence and sort of being able to see like, wow, there's people that have really done some interesting work with it.
Mhm.
You can, you know, like it's hard to approach it from a mindset that we're coming out of in a very scientific, like fact, quote unquote, fact-based, you know, like research vetted ideology, not ideologies, but like, you know, quote unquote science, like, you know, political science.
Oh, yeah. I have a problem with what we call science, though.
Yeah,
You know that all science isn't, it's, you can't prove it.
it's faith.
It's observed.
Yeah,
Science is very much faith in,
yeah,
and quantum physics. We've proved that with quantum physics that pretty much everything, when you create a hypothesis, you're proposing to the universe the notion that that thing that you want exists.
yeah,
Because you want your hypothesis to be a thing,
yeah,
you observe all of the things, the notions, the occurrences, whatever, that support your particular hypothesis, therefore making a scientific claim. And what happens is you have this proposal you have a theory, they call it a theory. You have this theory which has to be repeated by several people before it becomes a law of science,
Sure.
right? And what happens is these other scientists, or what are also known as observers, these other observers view your scientific paper, your thesis, and they look at your hypothesis and go, okay, this is what I'm looking for.
hmm
And then a bunch of those people see the same thing that you see. I'm going to make a comparison for you, okay? So all of those people test your theory and it becomes a rule. It is the same principle when we have police officers out in the world going, I'm going to find a burglar, I'm going to find a speeder, I'm going to find a blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
They're creating in their mind the thing that they want. They find it.
hmm
I'm not to go and say that those things aren't going to happen regardless, but it's the same thing you and I were talking about. If you have an idea and you want it to become tangible, you write it down, you start creating it. Science isn't real. It's a thing that we imagine. It's a barrier. It's like what you said earlier. It's a marker in
Yeah.
a sense.
Guidepost.
It's a guidepost for us to make sense of the world around us, even our language. We made up a way to describe and understand the world around us. You know, we're all grasping for that. And I worry about people because it's in the core of your being that's what we all want. And there's a lot of stuff happening in our world, like especially this time of the year with elections and all that.
Sure.
You know, we're setting the tone. We're writing our little thesis for the next 4 years. In
Right.
a sense, is like, what kind of world do you want to live in? And I always get so anxious around this time. I think we all do, because we don't know what's going to happen.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, and you know,
Sorry, I threw a lot of ideas out there.
but whatever happens is going to be exactly what the world needs right now. Because if it's like, if people aren't willing to say like, you know, we're ready for something truly different,
hmm
we're gonna get a fucking.
You can
excuse
say
me.
no. You can say yeah. You can say that. You can say whatever you want.
We're gonna get like what has been coming down the line at us for a long time, and I think people are actually ready to like open their eyes and be like, how much better can this get?
How much better can this get? I like that.
You know, like
That's a good mantra.
why live in all these past ideas of we have to be warring against other people because
It's profitable. You
Well,
know
yeah.
that.
but the competition and that theory of like, you know, like the profits of that is like, it's, you know, that's gonna fail. Like it's like all these derivatives things. It's based on like a very non-regenerative model. It's not, they're
Mhm.
sustaining profits. They're not
Mhm.
feeding back into something that's going to grow again. They're just depleting and depleting and depleting. And just like our politics are depleted, our like people are realizing, their votes aren't counting. They realize they can't go, they're getting kicked off, a registered whatever is getting kicked off the ballot after kicked off the um the registrar list in order to be able to count. So it's like wherever our collective takes us right now is what we're gonna face. And if it's people aren't willing to really like wake up and say, hey, like what are we doing? Like what is this Donald Trump thing? Is that fear? Is like is justice, like some of our great Herbie Hancock, I think, said, justice is love in public. Are we gonna get to this point where we're like ready to really like bring a just existence together or like, you know, I'm not saying there's one person to do it, but there is a ignited fire that's like brighter than it's been in a long time. But people are like, okay, I've had enough of doing the same thing and not seeing anything different. Going to the ballot box, getting
Mhm.
getting distracted by a bunch of charades and like hearing a very eloquent speaker take us away with charisma. Yeah,
Yeah,
singing the
it's
gospel.
antics.
But we're seeing a system that's fundamentally, not working for most people, and even the people that think it's working for them are draining themselves, and like, they're doing things that are like fear-based, and they're like protecting people based on fear. They're protecting their profits based on fear. And that, like that's gonna get tiring for every cell eventually,
Mm.
and like that cancer will like is a that's a sign of cancer that the earth has, is like this malignant thinking about like let's kill. It's like, no, this is a sign to like say like, oh, we need to change the conditions that we're all facing. And it's like, how do we do that? And look
Our
at,
pH is off.
yeah, our pH is off.
Mhm.
We're making these decisions based on a gut instinct that has been invaded by too much yeast, like where
Yeah.
our candida is
Yeah,
overflowing.
you
And
need some fermentation. Need some kombucha, some kimchi,
you need some balance. And
probiotics.
um
But yeah.
yeah, just like not really like to carry that anxiousness. I understand where you're coming from, where it's like there's a lot of talk of in like, wow, are we gonna have this or that, or like are people gonna actually be heard? And it's,
You know what I think is going to happen?
what do you think is gonna happen?
Here's my prediction. I think that whoever wins is going to piss people off. Everyone's going to get pissed. We're going to come to the tipping point. And I think that a fire was ignited under people, like became conscious of politics. Even the people you didn't expect, probably like 2009, 2010,
Yeah,
like right around the 1% movement and the
sure.
Occupy movement. That didn't die.
No,
Those people are still fighting the good fight for what they just want equality. They want everyone. People just want to be, they want to figure out what they can do in the world without struggling to survive. Like the meme says, everyone wants to be their best. And people homeostasis is a natural law of the universe.
sure.
And we're going to get to that equilibrium. We're going to get to that state of balance again. And I think there's going to be like people are going to take to the streets. They're going to be mad as hell, and they're not going to take it anymore.
Sure.
It's going to happen. And what we need to do is empower ourselves in the fact that we don't need to be violent.
Mhm.
Like here locally in San Diego, I know good old Donald Trump came to visit us and people are being insane. And all I have to say to you is, what the fuck? You're making us look bad.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, don't fight what you don't like. Instead, love what you do.
Sure.
You know, you're putting all your energy to fight a thing. That energy can be spent doing other things.
It can.
You know, like this is year of solutions.
It is.
Get stuff done. Don't just complain about it. So that's what we try and do on Fridays is balance off the week's news with some empowering, awesome, odd often ideas and notions. We've talked about a lot of things, haven't we?
I heard you mention this thing of equality, and I went to this conference this week, and the meme of equality versus equity came up, and you see it's this three people looking over a fence at a baseball game, and you have equality. Everybody has a box to look over the fence, and you have the short dude that can't see over the fence even with the box. You have the middle dude that can barely see, and you have the tall dude that's like hanging over the fence. And then you see the next meme as equality, equity, where you have the tall dude, he doesn't need the box. You have the middle dude who just needs one box and he can see over, and then you have the short dude that has the two boxes, and that's like equity. So we have that idea of like distribution of resources and stuff like that. And then like moving down the line, you have justice, which takes away the fence.
Why is that fence there? That's the way I think.
Yeah.
Why are we spending time arguing over who gets what box? Why is there a fence there?
Yeah, because it's like if this meme that we have is like when you grow, we grow. And if we see that as non-competitive, like and that's the whole paradigm that we can shift out of, is like we don't need to be forced to be great anymore based on competition. It's just people are striving for their highest and best because they realize that's their joy. And when people realize that and can come from that place to inspire other people, rather than like say like, if you don't do your best, you're gonna wind up eating out of a trash can and like living in a cardboard box. And it's just like, well,
whoa,
and speaking to those people that are in those cardboard boxes, what is it gonna hurt me if they can eat and have roof over their head? Like, okay, maybe they're not in the mental state to be able to like generate for themselves right now, but what does it hurt me to have these people better off? And the answer is no. I mean, it kills the human spirit to like, we pass people on the street all the time that are like asking for help, and like passing them by, that kills the human spirit. That's disillusionment.
It hurts. It hurts me to see people that I know I don't have all the resources that I wish I had to give them.
Right.
That hurts me. Like, it hurts me even more when I think, am I the only person that this hurts? Well, why are they there? Like, does anybody else care? Do they all think that somebody else is going to handle it? Probably.
Yeah.
We're all just kind of, we're thinking in a, what do they call it? Like a nucleus type of thinking, right? Versus, gosh, it's escaping me. But we're not being, brain. Sorry, brain fart. It happens sometimes. I'm kind of struck because on the way here, I had to drive by a man. I'm not kidding. He was around the corner. I had to drive by a man with a sign that says, "I'm hungry and I'm homeless." And I drove by him, and all the way here, all I could think was, I'm gonna be late for my show, but I
Right.
should turn around and give him $5. And like I almost did. And the fact that you brought it up, I'm like, damn it, I
Yeah.
should have done that. Um, but you can't, that's, gosh, that's what sucks about our society is like when you're compassionate and empathetic towards people, and you want to help them, but you've become conditioned to be afraid of the notion to do so. You know, like, oh, they're going to use that money for alcohol or drugs, and
Right.
that's the reason that they're homeless. But in reality, the reason people are homeless is because we failed as a unit.
Sure.
We're not meant to be individuals. We're not. We die if we don't have
Sure.
connection from the time we're born. If we're not loved and touched and embraced and hugged, we'll die.
Sure.
So it's definitely something that's essential to our existence. And that doesn't ever go away. You know, it's not like, hey, kid, you're 5. You're good now.
Sure.
These poor adults, they're just like, they need some support, but it just doesn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, but I think people are moving towards, like you said, regenerative. There's that word I can't say, regenerative.
Regenerative. Yeah.
Regenerative. It's not just sustainable. We've been sustaining barely for a long time.
Sustaining the same BS.
Yeah, it's idiocracy. It is. I love that movie, but it is idiocracy. And Einstein says insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Sure.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And it definitely like it really this point of moving towards a different kind of flow, like, you know, we're talking about like personal transformation and societal transformations, and really like looking at, well, what is it that is going to like make us whole and full of like acting from a place of unconditional love when we do our actions and build from a place of unconditional love, that self-actualization that the all spirituality and religions are pointing to, of like this overall arching umbrella of unconditional love, acting from that place. So when you put your actions out in the world, they can be received in that same feedback loop, feeding your own unconditional love, doing an act that actually regenerates your own soul and keeps that alive. And you know, like some people are meant to be warriors in this iteration of their existence, and some people are meant to be the visionaries to carry on. And you know, if there's a lot of unhappiness and strife, which, you know, if you watch any kind of news or tune in, you'll see a lot of people struggling and having different battles, and you know, like seeking that justice, seeking that resolve of unconditional love showing up in the public sphere. And this conference I went to, you know, talking about transformations in urban schools, you can see that the main factor that transmits this long-term change is the relationships built on unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to just say, oh, I love you, I don't expect anything of you. It's just like you can raise the bar of that interaction. Like I expect integrity in our interactions and transparency in the public sphere, and moving that along the way into any sphere, no matter like what kind of ideologies are ruling those kind of like business or you know, education or family life. It's just like, well, where are we approaching that from the inside? Where is our hierarchy of needs meeting? Is it base fear of flight or fight in our physiological zone? Are
Mostly.
we like, yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
and are
mostly.
we like, or are we, you know, too floaty on the crown chakra and just like, you know, saying, oh, it's all good, it's all going to happen? Or is it meeting in the place of physiological need and the higher ideal, meeting in the heart? where you can make that unified decision, like, I'm going to make decisions in this physical realm based on the, central component of unconditional love, and going out from there, and like all your actions are going to become regenerative. All your creations are going to feed back into the unconditional love. The way you carry yourself when you grow the unconditional love without condition, when you grow that in society by like first generating it from the inside, that becomes regenerative. You really got to take care of your balance between your actualization, your higher ideals, and where it comes out, in your actions, and not just based on fight or flight. You could like sit around a dinner table and you see this, like, we're all sitting down. We've spent hours preparing this nice meal. Farmers have grown it. The land has taken so much time to produce the minerals and stuff like that. And you have a bunch of hungry people at the table. And if you have no balance, you're gonna like, and you're hungry, you're gonna go out and fill up your plate, and then like someone else is gonna see the same thing, fill up their plate, and then everybody's gonna be stuffed, and this extensive meal that took hours and years to prepare, earth time is gonna be gone in 10 minutes. Everybody's gonna be full and like, okay, I'm on to the next, rather than being like, okay, let's balance this. Like, I want to eat that food, but like, I want to share this with you. So like, let's take our time. Let's sit around and like enjoy and savor this meal, and like balance like our higher ideal of like sharing that time with like feeding that belly, and like realizing in all of our actions where we're going with things is like, we can choose at any moment to embrace a new narrative for ourselves. We don't have to go through, chakra cleaning classes and all that stuff. It can help on people's paths, but just to be like realizing it, we can then say, okay, like, I want to see, like, check in with myself. Where am I making decisions from? Is it fear? Is it love? Is there a balance of like, okay, I'm taking care of myself, I feel taken care of, and I am acting with unconditional love.
You can take yourself to that place. You're right. Everyone has that power. And let that be the theme of our show tonight. Like, you can choose to evolve.
Sure.
You can bring yourself back to that place of calm, serenity. Life is crazy, okay? You're doing it right. Just keep on keeping on. Thank you, Brother Abraham.
Yeah.
Thank you, DB. Sorry we couldn't talk to you. Make sure you guys are able to go to California. So check in on Monday. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.